first thing I just want to talk about, just the fact that you guys are here and that you're just back, and what are just the emotions going through your head?
For me, it's redemption. For me, coming into a place like Maryvale gives us, I feel like, more of a purpose. We came back here for a reason. I believe that God don't make mistakes, and what we did at South Mountain prepared us for Desert Edge, and what we did at Desert Edge, I believe that prepared us for this. And you combine the two from South Mountain and Desert Edge, we gained a lot of experience, gained a lot of connections, and now we're in a place I feel like God wants us to be and to make a difference. Right now for us, it's about restoring the love of the game, restoring hope, restoring a sense of community back into this community that's, had a history of just being amazing back in the day, right? And then, with the open enrollment and kids moving out and stuff like that, like it's been down for 10 years. I mean, 10 and 85 says a lot, right? But we're here, we're excited, and, I believe that God don't make mistakes.
For me, like Marcus said, just, excuse me, redemption. And, we get to prove ourselves right again. Marcus and I go into every situation, betting on ourselves. And so we put in all the chips, and, now that all the chips are in, we got to make it happen. And so we're excited, we're motivated, and, we built South, we built Desert Edge, and now we get to build Maryvale. And it's just going to go to our story and our legacy. And, you can say whatever you want about the Carters, but we win football games, we build young men, and we change cultures. And that's what we plan on doing here at Maryvale.
You talked about how, this used to be a place that was popping, people were coming, they were winning games and all stuff. Coming to a place, with that kind of history, and then obviously 10 and 85 hasn't been like that for a while, what do you think it's going to take to get it back to that point?
First and foremost, we're going to have to establish trust, right? And that's from top to bottom. That's from the administration, that's from the teachers, the janitors, the security, and most importantly, the kids, right? And so in doing what we say and meaning what we do. These kids have had guys come in here and tell them all types of things and promise them all types of things and never come through. So right now they're like a scared dog, you know what I'm saying? And that's been roaming the streets, and then somebody comes up and want to take care of it, but he's still skittish, you know what I'm saying? And so building the trust and starting there. Then once we get the trust, then it's about building confidence. All right, you don't need to have the best athletes to win games. There's a lot of teams that have better athletes that lose games, right? And shoot, we've had some really good teams and lost to some teams that we probably shouldn't have, right? But those teams had confidence. And all of our best teams at Desert Edge and South Mountain, and we were coaching at Central, were the confident ones. So starting off with trust, building that confidence, earning their confidence in the weight room and doing spring ball and stuff like that. And then, that all translating to, wins. The classroom, being confident in the classroom. There's a lot of, I would say, insecure young men, walking around here, and that's what we're here to change.
Mark, I know you and I were kind of talking earlier, saying how, you got here and the kids were super happy, but at the same time, you kind of felt bad for them that they've never had an experience like that. Can you just talk about that and just your first couple days here? I know you just met the kids like last week, I think, but
yep,
being able to, get them some stuff before moving back to Arizona, and then obviously hearing me and the kids, just those first couple days of meeting them and kind of hearing their story.
Well, like Marcus said, the establishing the trust part, right? And so, Marcus and I, even though we were in Georgia, we were talking to the kids on huddle. Marcus was doing some awesome breakdowns on, different schematic things, pouring into them. Marcus, used what he had and sent 3 kids to hook up with Tom Lemming. And so that's a part of building trust. It's funny, it's kind of sad in a way, but at the same time, it makes us feel good. But, we heard the kids say that, Marcus and I have done more for them in this last month and a half than coaches have been doing for them for the last 5 years. And so that speaks a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so us being able to, again, start building that trust and understanding lets us coach these kids hard, lets these, love these kids hard. And, we just continue to do what we do as far as building our culture here.
I was talking to you about that, and I wanted to apologize to them on behalf of all, the good coaches out there, the responsible coaches, the loving coaches, because they never got to experience that, right? And athletics and sports in general is for young men and young women to experience things that they've never experienced before. The family, a lot of those kids don't really have a family, right? So they come here, we are their family. They don't have nowhere to go after school, so they come here, right? So we're their safe haven. And for us, is to provide, and this is our mission and our goal that I told the parents is, our mission now is to provide the best experience for all the young people that we come in contact with, right? Because life is about experiences, right? Think about the first experience that we had, right? We end up going we talked about manifesting the state championship and all that stuff, and we end up going to the state championship, right? So, and I'll never forget that experience with you. And probably because of that experience, that's why you're out here today, helping us document our story, you know what I'm saying? So it's about experiences, it's about networking, and we can win one game, we can win 10, but our job is to have the kids experience what it's like to be a part of football and athletics.
What does it mean to you guys, just the fact that the kids are out here and they enjoy being out here, and it seems 2 days in, they seem super excited about what you guys are doing?
Man, it's amazing. If you look at the area, right, you got nothing but hard-working people in the area. And so that was the expectation, and they've exceeded expectation. The kids, coach, as soon as we get off this, deal today, we probably get a message in huddle, coach, what's the list for tomorrow? What's the plays for tomorrow? What's the formations for tomorrow? And so they're just thirsting for, to be coached. And you go some places and kids are kind of entitled, and kids are just kind of out there. They worried about themselves. Or in the grand scheme of things, these kids just want to be coached, they want to be loved, and they want to play with each other. And once you get that, man, everything else is just extra.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you guys had to kind of go to the lengths for an install that you guys are doing from Maryvale, just bringing in schematics and stuff like that?
No. I mean, that's the fun part, right? And they don't know anything, right? A few kids might know a little stuff probably because of on Madden and stuff like that, but we're out here teaching them language, having them talk the same language as we are. We have a young man over there translating in Spanish and teaching them how to what a down block is, what a pull is, and he's basically a player/coach. We got Bill Russell out here playing and coaching and speaking in a language and some of the words and concepts that he may not even understand, right? But we're building leaders, and that's a leader in my book. A guy that's going to come out here, he's a senior, he's helping a freshman out that doesn't know very much English. Like, that's why we coach, right? And who knows if there was a different coaching staff, if that kid would even come out here. This is second. We had to basically, beg him to come out, and then he came out, and he came again, and he's going to come again, and he's going to come again, and he's just going to learn, right? And so that's the teaching. Is coaching, and teaching is why we get into this. Is teach them how to be young men, teach them how to do the right thing, teach them how to persevere, teach them how to have fun, teach them how to win, teach them how to lose, teach them, just teach them how to be men, and that's the fun part for me.
And it goes back to what you said about experiences. That dialogue and those experiences they're having together. If that kid ends up being a dog, the guy that's translating for him, the guy that's helping him, he'll never forget that. And the kid that ends up playing really well will never forget that. And that's an experience that they're going to take with them wherever. And so those are the things that kind of make you happy.
And talking about Michael, I know you guys sent him to Lemming, and he was there. And then you said he had a run-in with a college coach the other day, and wasn't really sure. But what if, in the short amount of time you've known him, you've seen him out here in the field with his teammates, what stood out to you about him that's like put him as an outlier amongst everybody else? Man,
he just wants to be great, and he wants to win, and he honestly was going to do everything he possibly can to help us win, even if that means translating for a freshman that can possibly help us on Fridays. You know what I'm saying? And so he's a great young man. He's always yes sir, no sir. Shaking my hand, always coming up, giving me love. Never heard anything bad about him on campus. Great character guy, great leader in the weight room. He's what you want in a leader. And I'm so glad because, obviously we missed that on Devin. But having him to back up Devin we're in a great spot.
Yes, sir.
What are you guys just most excited for about this new opportunity?
Just to prove the kids right. prove the community right, prove all the people that have faith in us right. You know, the big thing was when we announced that we were coming here, we didn't know what was going to happen. But all the love and all the, you know, appreciation and everybody, you know, welcome us back. You know, we're doing this for them, you know, because they didn't have to. And it was, you know, 1.5, you know, likes on Instagram and, you know, a bunch of likes on Twitter and, you know, stuff like that. People have faith in us, and people, you know, well, if anybody can do it, it's the Carters, you know. That makes us feel good. And so if people are saying that about us, we definitely want to prove them right and just say, hey, listen, we appreciate you, and we're going to work our tails off to make sure that you can sit, you know, be in a group of people and be like, you know what, I told you so, I told you.
You know, I've heard lots of things, and, you know, one of the things that really, I don't want to say hurt my feelings, but made me kind of like step back is like, you know, because people were obviously on the cusp of hiring us, right? When we were interviewing stuff. But one thing that really kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, I guess, was, you know, we're worried about the backlash. And it's like what backlash? Like we've done so much good in this state. We're not even from Arizona, you know what I'm saying? We've done and cemented our legacy as helping coaches, kids, other kids from other schools. You know, we've cemented our legacy in that, and then, you know, from a miscommunication, you want to throw everything that we've done away. And I don't think that's necessarily fair. You know what I'm saying? And so when you have admin and people that saying, you know, we love him, he's the best interview, he did great, but we're afraid of the backlash, I'm thinking like, wow, that kind of took me back. But, you know, thank God for Maryvale. Thank God for another opportunity. And, you know, we're just happy to be here, and we're gonna give it our all.
Are the Carter brothers going to bring the same swag to Maryvale that we usually see with you guys?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and you know, this is going to be a marathon type situation. This is not a sprint for us. You know what I'm saying? We get to renovate the block, as we can say. We get to renovate Maryvale.
Yes, sir.